Hello, this is Chris Duncan, Master on the Arcanum, and I'm with Find Your Focus Photographic Education. I'm here with Dean Neatman and Devin Mack. They're part of my on the Arcanum. There may be a few more joining us as we go along. The reason for our meeting this evening is Dean has been in the community a while, and he's really interested in food photography and kind of more commercial type photography. And he just submitted some great images as part of his challenge, some food images, and we're just going to talk a little bit about that tonight and give him a little bit of feedback and feel where he is, and just hang out for a few minutes. So I've got a few tips and tricks for you. I think that might help you Dean forward.
Great.
So thanks for joining us. Dean?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we lost.
No.
No, Dean's there. You cut out for a little bit.
Yeah. You kind of dropped off for us.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Getting a little.
Well,
Seems like
maybe
there's a little bit of lag.
there's a little bit of lag. Okay, I apologize.
No, that's all right.
I'm going to go and screen share. I want to show people the images that you did.
All right.
And sometimes it helps if you turn your camera off if it starts lagging. That'll help, especially since I'm screen sharing. There's no need to have that. You won't be seen for this portion anyway. So that might help with our connection.
Okay.
I'm sure that means anything. So I guess you're a fan of Asian food. You seem to post quite a bit of Asian food.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely like to make stir fries and and then a lot of times I find they're you can make them colorful and they're kind of easy to make presentable.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, every piece of work we do, we can always improve on.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I like about this is if people watching now had seen some of the first foods you've done, they would be amazed because this is so different. You took time to plate it. I think you lit it very well, and stuff like that. So I'm seeing lots of improvement. But I just wanted to go through these real fast and then point out a few things. I know this isn't a full critique session, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each one, but just a few things.
All right.
First thing I noticed on this is look at when you're styling.
Mm-hmm.
You have a couple broccoli that are kind of upside down, and we're seeing the bottom of the broccoli instead of the top.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a little more attractive to see the floret over the stump of it.
Okay. Yeah. Good point.
There's one right here, and then by the rice. And since green projects, since it's a primary color, green is going to project, and white doesn't project as much on a white plate. I might have rotated the plate a little bit. Your rice is hitting all the light, so it's almost getting lost.
Mm-hmm.
And really, what we see more than anything is the broccoli and carrots.
Mm-hmm.
And since those are such strong primary colors, if I can, I tend to put my primary colors farthest away from the camera since they project anyway.
Okay.
It kind of helps bring them, if they're in front, they really come forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So to draw your eye backward, I guess, through the image.
Right. That way you see the full plate, not just. It's hard to make your way to the rice because the broccoli and carrots are their colors. It's the only primary color on the page, so they're going to grab your attention before anything else.
Yeah,
so
I think
if they were.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if they were behind, and this goes for portraits too,
Mm-hmm.
but if they were behind the rice and the chicken,
mm-hmm.
you would have to go through the rice and the chicken to get to the vegetables. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. That's where I experimented with the adding the green leaf lettuce before to try to balance it out. And of course, we discussed that that wasn't really the best idea either. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, this is nice. Don't get me wrong. This obviously looks like there was some care taken to it. So this is good. There's
Thanks.
some few things to think about moving on.
All right.
Let's see. So here's a good example. You've got your it's not loading very fast over here.
A little slow.
There it's coming, but you've got your broccoli kind of through, so our eye moves around the plate and we can see the whole. We're seeing the florets, we're not seeing the stumps. The chicken really pops out because it's between the green.
Uh-huh.
And here I think you can encompass the whole plate instead of it's not 3 individual ingredients, it's one cohesive dish. And so the more you start working with restaurants or chefs or caterers or whoever you're going to start marketing with,
Mm-hmm.
Just like we want to use composition and lens choice and lighting, all those ingredients together to make the image work, we don't want to use our composition to have 2 separate images, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a chef thinks the same way. They may have a starch and a protein and a sugar and a bitter and all these different things, but they're all supposed to go together. So that's something to think about when you're styling it too. Does it all go together? And I think this one was more successful than the previous because you can see how it all goes together. We're not seeing 3 separate ingredients. We're seeing all 3 ingredients as one.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. Man, I'm sorry for the connection. I guess everyone got home from work and is checking their email or they're watching The Voice or something. So, I like this one too. I don't think I've told y'all this, but when I bid on food projects, one of the first questions I ask is if it's pasta
Mm-hmm.
and if it has cheese. If it's pasta and it has cheese, I usually charge more because they're 2 very difficult ingredients to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Once pasta sits out for a minute, it's done. You can't revive it.
Yeah.
You can revive the meat sauce. You can't revive the little parsley, but you can buy, you could buy 7 bunches of parsley for $2 and have parsley all day long, keep it in the refrigerator. But once cheese or pasta has been out for a while, I mean, just a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, it's done. You got to start over. And so pasta is really tricky to have it look moist, but not soggy. But you don't want it to be dry where it doesn't look cooked. So I think you did a nice job on your ravioli to make it look like it's not just drenched in water, but it's not raw. So that's well done.
Thanks.
And the cheese looks fresh and melted. That's nice. I'm assuming you probably made this to eat and decided to photograph it before you ate it. Was that the case, or did you do these just to photograph?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. I was going to eat. I actually did eat it, but yeah, I was kind of when I made it. I was trying to style it a little bit, and I tried to watch, my placement of things as much as I could. But yeah, I found that it was a little bit difficult, especially when I added the sauce, because I realized the warmer the sauce was, the more it wanted to run all over the place.
Yeah. Yep.
So I had to do that twice, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. The majority of your sauce looks really good. There's a few places down where it starts to look runny and oily.
Mm-hmm.
If you'll dump your sauce on a paper towel before you put it on your plate, that'll help soak up some of the extra juice.
Okay.
If that still doesn't keep it from running, put some cornstarch in it, and it'll just thicken it and not discolor it.
Okay.
So, but it's not that big of a deal. But when it starts leaking down under the pasta, and you start getting those brown or rusty looking edges on the pasta where the sauce starts running, that's where a lot of, I guess, food stylists and chefs and restaurant owners and stuff like that will. So that's where they kind of start. I guess I don't want to say they're put off by it, but that's something that they usually, my experience, they haven't liked.
Yeah.
So I go through like 3 rows of Bounty anytime I'm doing a food shoot. I'm gonna use paper towels like it's water. So, but I like the cheese. I wish the parsley wasn't crusty. I wish it was a fresher leaf.
Yeah, it
But
went kind of limp on me quickly. I had
that's
it.
because the pasta was hot.
Oh,
The sauce was hot. Yeah. Yeah. So I like your buffalo wings. I like the way you arrange these.
mhm,
How they, it kind of looks like a bigger pile. I like the lighting on it because this is a heavy meal,
mhm.
so it looks like good bar type atmosphere. There's separation from the background, even though the background's black. I'd like to see something else in the background, even if it looks like it's a bar or a glass of beer or some type of warm color there. But you've got a clean edge. That'd be easy to do in post. But this is a heavy late night food, and so I think you photographed it where it looked heavy and late night. You would never want to photograph your chicken and rice like this because that's a light meal.
Yeah.
And this is a heavy meal. So you did a nice job lighting it, and the shadows are where they need to be. And so I like this one. I think a little higher camera angle would help, just not because it doesn't work, but it's more the plate has a deep lip on it.
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, I'm saying maybe an inch or so on your camera angle, a little higher, would put us a little more on the food and not so much on the plate.
Yeah, because with the wide angle, it really does kind of pop that plate out, I guess.
Yeah, it does. Do you have a macro lens or like 100 millimeter?
I got a 60 millimeter, which is 120 equivalent.
Okay, you might want to try something like that. I tend to shoot almost all my food with 100 millimeter
Okay.
because it doesn't compress. I mean, it compresses a little, but not like a 200 would.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't distort like you're going to get with a 50 or a 60, especially when you start getting, because you're getting closer to your food.
Yeah.
And so I found probably anywhere between 85 to 110 would probably be a great range, or maybe 120 would be a great range to work on food because it's not going to compress it too much and it's not going to distort it at all. It's going to give it a nice, realistic. I like this one too, man. I think the white on white with your lighting works good.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this looks healthy. I mean, it could be covered in 4 pounds of butter, but to me, it looks healthy because the white represents health and lightness.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see calories in this because of the white. The hard edge light makes me think of bright sun. Bright sun makes me think of happiness and light and exercise and being outside. So all those components to me would be like, oh, this would be something I want to have at lunch. Get me a little pick me up, but I'm not going to be dragging in the middle of the afternoon because I ate something too heavy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, a couple other things is you got your broccoli again. There's shrimp in here. I like the shrimp to shine. I wouldn't put as much. If you're doing this, I would cook the shrimp separately from the meal and then just barely roll it in the sauce so you still have that pinkiness in the shrimp.
Oh, okay.
Like it was fresh shrimp and not, I guess, sauce covered shrimp. I think that would help give it a little more of a fresh look too.
Okay.
So, because the shrimp that's on a dish like this, they're paying the extra $4 to get shrimp in it versus veggie, right?
Yeah.
If you're at a restaurant. So let the shrimp really shine on something like this. It kind of almost looks like it could be an onion. It's the same color as the onions.
Yeah. That was one thing I noticed when I cooked it all together. It all kind of took on the same tones, the veggies and the shrimp, and
Yep.
I tried to enhance like the green and the broccoli and the peas a little bit.
Yeah. So typically, what you photograph and the way it's prepared is way different than the way it's prepared to eat.
Yeah.
So is that it? So, like I said, I think these are good, Dean. I mean, I think you did a nice job, especially from where I saw you start. With your first attempt at food photography, there's much better composition. I think your lighting really matches the meal. So just a few little things I wanted to talk. I was going to type it out in the comments. I'm like, it'd be so much easier to have him to hear me, and then we haven't talked in a while, and then trying to type all of that, trying to type all that out in the comments. So
No, I appreciate it.
you bet. I want to show you a couple things. By no means am I just a food stylist expert, but I think I may have shared this with you in the community, that this is the exact same menu item. One is for the restaurant's lunch menu, and one's for their dinner menu.
Yeah.
You can probably guess which one's for the lunch. I photographed it a little higher, and there's a lot of things I would change about this if I was to redo it. But I used the white to make it look healthier. My camera angle was a little higher. It makes the burger look smaller. Doesn't make it look too small, just makes it look smaller. And of course, I let the spinach. The spinach was more highlighted in the lunch one than the dinner one, because you think of spinach as a healthy alternative to French fries or something, versus the one on the right that you got beer. It's a really dark, heavy, warm background. The lighting's changed a little bit. The camera angle's lower, so the burger looks bigger and more substantial for dinner and stuff. Let me see if I have another. I don't know if I have one on this little thing. Let me see. Just give me a second. I know I've got some food stuff here. Well, here's kind of, this is, can you let me make that bigger. I shot this recently. And you mentioned not having a lot of props.
Yeah.
This is something, if I had to, this kind of goes to a few things we talked about. I know it's not Asian food or pasta, but the tomatoes in the guacamole were added after the guacamole was made. Otherwise, they had a green slime on them. So this is kind of like that shrimp. I put those in afterwards, so they look like they're in there, but they didn't have that green slime on it. You can notice I also supported that with the bright green avocado, lime, and tomatoes in the back. If I would have put those at the bottom, you would miss the guacamole because the red and that green are such primary colors. And compositionally, I'm still wanting a circular or triangle or diamond type angle. So I'm going from, hopefully you go from avocado to guacamole to tomato to avocado to guacamole, and you stay in the whole image. Hopefully there's nothing there to pull you out of it to say, let's look somewhere else. There's some things I could do different for sure. I know there's some things I would do different if I did it again, but let's see. Same type of thing. I wanted the tomatoes in the back. In that queso, the tomatoes were added after the fact. So, let's see. This is a fun experiment, and I want to encourage you to try this next time you're photographing. Let me show you something. I have it here. It's this. So I did this for a barbecue place. This is their meat lovers combo.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's the ribs, the brisket, the sausage, and the turkey.
Wow.
So you get like, you know, now obviously this is straight overhead, but I tried to put a lot of thought into what ingredient was going to go where.
Mhm.
And I didn't want the turkey closest to the light, which the light's coming from the top. So I made sure the turkey was farthest from the light. Otherwise, it would look too white.
Mhm.
I didn't want the ribs at the bottom because then I thought it would look too heavy at the bottom. I mean, and the slaws at the bottom because the same reason the turkey is.
Mhm.
I mean, I had some thought process to it, whether I was correct or not. It's yet to be determined. But what I did is when I built this, I photographed my process. I'll go slower since the connection may be slow.
Mhm.
And this is fun to do. And so maybe I'm sure you took images along the way, but it's kind of fun to see them, how you kind of start. And I think it's easier to start at the end than try to pre-think it all before you just start throwing stuff around. Anyway, I wanted to show that to you. I thought that was kind of,
Yeah.
let's see if I have any other food. There's some cakes. That's not quite the same. I'm sure I have some in here, but I know I have some on my system, but they're not readily available.
I've discovered when you're arranging the food too, it's sometimes difficult because if you find that you want to rearrange it, then you have to get a whole new plate really, and
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, food photography is it's a special thing, and I'm still learning a lot on it. So I want to share a few things with you before we go. You mentioned you didn't have a lot of different propping and stuff. One thing I didn't mention this, but the blue plate, I think it's hard to use. I don't use mine very much. But do you have like a TJ Maxx or a Home Goods or something like that close to you?
yeah, I think we got a TJ Maxx somewhere.
TJ Maxx is great because you can go and get one. You don't have to buy a set of 6 or 8 bowls. You can get one bowl. This was like $2.50. And so I bought these several different bowls,
Mhm.
different sizes. And I have a stack of plates
Hmm.
that I could get one eaches. I didn't have to buy a full place setting for 4. I could get one eaches at a place like TJ Maxx or Home Goods, or sometimes Tuesday morning we'll have a lot of this stuff one eaches.
Okay.
So I'll do the same thing with placemats. I didn't pull out my placemats, but I have about 7 or 8 different placemats. They're different textures and different colors because I can buy one eaches. And usually they're all clearance stuff, and so it's easy to get. I go to Home Depot or Lowe's and I'll buy 1 tile or 2 tiles, and this is slate.
Oh,
This
okay.
is what that guacamole was photographed on. This is a 2-foot by 2-foot tile. I'll have these in slate and marble, and actually buy wood flooring, open boxes of wood flooring that might, it's supposed to be 24 square feet, but it only has 16 in it. I'll buy that.
Oh, okay.
And I can have different wood surfaces.
Mhm.
So you don't have to spend a lot of money to get something different than your same old table, because that's what I was running into. I'm like, I'm tired of using the same old table.
Yeah, that was the round wood piece of mine was actually, I bought it Home Depot. It was just a round circular unfinished table, and I stained it and used it just for that. But that's all I
Yeah.
got really.
Yeah, and butcher block work good. And I like used butcher blocks over the new ones. That's my
Mhm.
personal preference. This is kind of funny, but Play-Doh is amazing because Play-Doh and you can buy the pack where you don't use the blue very often. The white's probably the best. but you can set it up underneath something. So if you need, like if a tomato's wanting to roll over, an onion won't sit straight, you put white Play-Doh on the back side of that onion, and it'll just hold.
Oh,
You can-
cool. Yeah, I never thought about that.
And you can lift up stuff. I'll put it underneath the lip of a plate, or I could use like a book or a little something thin, a pencil sometimes, just lift that plate up a little bit. So Play-Doh is a great little tool to use. I like the white. I just bought the 4-pack, so I got blue. I usually hide it anyway, so it doesn't matter. Glycerin, which you can get this at. You'll find this at your supermarket, but it's usually with the skincare stuff.
Oh, okay.
Glycerin is it's basically clear vegetable oil, but it won't run. It's thick, kind of like syrup. So that's what I spray on my tomatoes, and I'll spray on my vegetables to have those water droplets that don't run. I'll spray it on the edge of glasses. And I use one of these things to spray it. These little pump sprayers, you've probably seen these. That you pump and it pressurizes, and then I can just spray my glycerin on whatever I want to spray it on.
Yeah, I have to look.
And if I don't want the spray, I'll get a brush out and I'll pour this on a bowl, and then I'll brush it onto. Sometimes I'll brush it on the top of a steak or on the edge of cheese. I want cheese to have that glossy, melted type look. I'll use a heat to heat my cheese. I want it melted after I make sure my composition and my lighting's right. Then I use a heat gun to melt my cheese. Let's see. And there's lots of. Oh yeah, here's my orange. No, never mind. That's not it. And this is probably. These are a little bit more expensive, but you haven't shown any beverages, but eventually you're going to have to shoot a beverage. Fake ice is the way to go. Don't try to use real ice because you only have 2 minutes or 2 seconds to. So I buy fake ice. I've got the cubes. These are about $35 a cube.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I have crushed ice, and this is what I use most often is the crushed ice. This I think is $20 a pound, so it's a lot cheaper.
Okay.
But it looks really, really real. Looks good. Let me show you. I did one for some tea containers. I did see those images in here. Where are they? Where are they? I know I saw them. There they are. Can you see that?
Yeah, yeah. I would never guess that was not real ice.
The only thing with fake ice is you have to fill the glass to the bottom because it doesn't float. Real ice is going to float. And so if the drink goes above the ice, it's a dead giveaway that it's fake ice. So, yeah, but I did this for a company that had all these different flavored teas. Peach tea, lemon tea, raspberry tea. And it's on the front of the tall cylinder things that you see at convenience stores or stuff like that, restaurants.
Oh, okay.
I was going to see if I had one that had the cubed ice in it. I don't know if I have a picture here. It has the cubed ice on it.
Did you shoot those outdoors?
I did. I thought I had a pull away. Somewhere I have a pull away of my setup. I still lit them quite a bit, but they are shot outdoors.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know where my pull away is. I just grabbed a flash drive that I knew had some stuff on it. Let's see if it's on this. Yeah, it's not on here. But I used, I backlit the glass. I'd have to find it and send it to you. I don't think it's on this one. No, I backlit the glass and then used 2 strip boxes on either side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this was under my porch. Everything was under my porch, and that plant was not under the porch. So I had to make as much light as was in the sun underneath my porch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll put this in the chat window. There's a website called TrendGroveStudios.com, and they sell a lot of. You can get the glycerin there. You can get the fake ice there. They have some fake fruit. I don't use fake fruit. It's too expensive.
Mhm.
The only fake fruit I buy are lemon wedges and lime wedges, and I could probably buy 2 dozen limes for the cost of this, or lemons for the cost of this. But the only reason I buy a fake lemon and a fake lime is I'm going to photograph water or tea or a Corona. That's what people put in drinks, or lemon and limes. I can put this in a glass of tea with fake ice, and this will never deteriorate. You know, after 10 minutes with the real lemon and the tea, it's going to start just dissolving, and you got to start over. So this is just so it won't dissolve. That's the only reason I bought these.
Oh,
So I wouldn't recommend buying fake cherries. You can go buy 7 pounds of cherries for the price of one cherry from this, because they're like $50 to buy a fake cherry.
wow.
They look good, but you're going to find a good. So I just did that because I'm going to be putting it in a liquid.
Makes sense.
So yeah. Now I'll show you that image again, so you can see that fake. Where is it? Because I have that. I think I have that lemon in it. Let's see. Where is it? There they go. There they go.
Mhm.
There's the barbecue. Well, here those are the fake lime. That one's sitting on the edge of it, so they look really real.
Uh-huh.
You know, look at the detail in that. That's so.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have one with it in a glass anywhere, but let's see. Mm-hmm. No, I thought you might see it in that. I do have it in an alcoholic drink on one of these. Where is it? I did see that. Thought I saw that. I may be lying to you. Anyway, that's a good resource to get ice, the glycerin. They have some aerosols. There he goes. No, that's a real one. Never mind. So that's sitting on toothpicks. All those strawberries are sitting on toothpicks because they weren't floating. Yeah. Anyway, so that stuff you pick up along the way with those different tricks. But I know you're really interested in this, and I just wanted to share some of those with you. So next time you're like, oh, it's really not that, it's just putting a little engineering into it. So I'm sure Devin's all about that. But, I pull out Play-Doh in a food shoot and people crack up because I'll just stick it behind stuff. And so
That
it
makes
works good to hold things in place. And it doesn't mess up your surface, or it doesn't mess up the food. I've tried that tacky wax, and that tacky wax is a pain. It gets in your fingers and it gets in your camera gear, and it's just a pain. So Play-Doh works really well. So, well, do you have any questions for me?
No, not really. You covered quite a bit, and appreciate all the tips and ideas.
Yeah. So, like I said, man, I think you've come a long way, and you had some good stuff. So, I can't wait to see what you come up next. I don't know if that's what you want to continue to do for your level 8 and 9 when you finish level 7 or not, but if so, at least you have a few more tools in your kit you can use.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I hope to do some more of that, and I'd probably be open to trying some other, I'm always open to trying some other subjects, but I definitely want to continue with it and learn more.
Yeah. Cool. Cool deal. There's a lot of other rules and stuff we can get into later, probably before we get to that point. But for this, like I said, I want to talk a few things on what you presented and then some of these little tips. So, Devin, I know I haven't seen you do any of this kind of stuff except that when you do your street stuff. Is this something you're interested in moving forward, or?
Well, I could dabble in. I dabbled into it a little bit. I think I posted a couple pictures. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, but those were
that wasn't really set up. That was just impromptu kind of stuff.
right. That's what I was going to say.
But it's not one of my primary interests, but I mean, I find it interesting. Sure.
Yeah. Well, I like to. I'm real cautious. Well, maybe that's not the right word. When someone wants to start doing food or architectural or beverages or jewelry or something that's very specialized, I want to make sure they kind of know at least enough to get started, because we as photographers, if we see somebody that's a doctor post an image that's a portrait, it's real easy for us to point out stuff that they didn't know, right? We all can agree with that.
Mm.
If I was going to try to build a bridge or do electrical schematic or a mechanical schematic, Devin would know really quick right off the bat that I wasn't trained in that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the same thing with food photography. All those things, the chef or the restaurant owner or the caterer, they're going to recognize stuff that we might think just because we're not versed in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of these little things, even the color stuff we talked about, that's stuff that they've learned in culinary school, and they've learned in, the shrimp is the star. They've learned all these things. So we need to make sure we're kind of speaking their language, so to speak. So this will be my last tip. I went and bought these, and it's 6 different beer glasses,
Oh yeah.
because it really drives me crazy when I see someone photograph a bottle of white wine and they have it in a red wine glass.
Yeah.
Or they put champagne in a martini glass. You can tell, usually they didn't think about it. They said, I just want to try to photograph this bottle of wine or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have different wine glasses and I have this beer kit. So if I'm going to photograph a Belgian wheat, I'm going to put it in this glass. If it's a Pilsner beer, I'm going to put it in this glass. Maybe this one you could do for a Pilsner. If it's a stout, it needs to be in this. So kind of learning some of those things helps too. Even with the plates, the Asian food's real particular on what type of dishes they use for each type of how they present it. You don't cross chopsticks. That's bad luck. You never cross your chopsticks. Just kind of little stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're going to photograph lobster, you want to make sure you have a lobster fork and not a normal fork.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, well, I went past my time. I heard my door open. My wife's ready for me. So, but I'll go ahead and post this in the cohort so y'all can watch it later. And thank you guys for joining us. It's fun to see you guys again.
Yeah. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
You bet, Dean. Take care. See you, Devin.
All right.
Bye.
See you guys.